where I'm not really feeling the body anymore. I'm not the sounds are going away. If a bug lands on me or something, I don't really notice it. I'm not noticing any changes in light or anything along those lines, and it seems that everything is going away. But rather than it being something where I'm more of the awareness in a void, it's more of that my awareness seems to be stuck in the field that I'm in. Like if I'm in
If I recap on the previous discussion, which we discussed about this karma and then how the cause and effect impacting this whole universe, in fact, actually, not just only our individuality. And then it is the case of that really very deepest level discovery of Buddhas, which is called dependent origination, or it's actually the Paticca Samuppada in Pali. But in my book, actually, I refer to that as the perceiving process. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. But it is actually extension of that cause and effect, because when you take it to one action, of course, it's a cause and effect like you're talking about. But this particular discovery or this particular formula or the phenomena is actually it's happening, uh, that kind of a process happening every millisecond in this whole universe, in billions of billions of billions of or trillions of trillions of trillions of time in millisecond. It's not that really millisecond one time and then other next millisecond. No, in 1 millisecond, it happened in trillions of time or uncountable time. That is why we see this as a universe, the whole thing. So this is a very deepest level wisdom. When you come to the individual and our personality, we can perceive only the things that really we perceive, right? We can't just go into that kind of a wisdom directly. That's especially normal person would see that really whatever he has, whatever he's interacting with, and that is what only thing that really they can see. So that is why then Buddha mentioned that really there's that dependent origination process separately, but at the same time, he said this can be seen through you as a human being. So the human being, how we can see through, then he gave that really in a different way, because the person who's been into that, the non-self, see it's happening from the beginning to the end. But for a human being, the normal human being or conventionally, they can't see that because they are not, their essence is not deeper as that. We all know that when you go to the non-self experience, this is much different than our normal process of things happening around our world. So we perceive differently. So similarly, so when that is the case, what she said was if you are really focusing on this dependent origination, start with the very last link of it, which is the 12th link on the very last link, which is more apparent to people, more apparent to a human being, because that is where he call it as dukkha, or that particular link has a long list of things that really you will be dying, and you will be really having decaying yourself, and then you see that you are getting old and you are aging and all those kind of things collectively. That's the surface level change in nature that people can perceive. So that is why he said start with that. So then people would really get something about it. So they get to know about it, and then they that will lead them to uh, go into deeper level. And then that's how you go further into that. And then even that Marcus, he was just saying, what is this karma? And then now I realize karma is with the action in the karma. So that kind of a thing. So People who go deeper when they can perceive at a surface level at this current existence where you are interacting with. For example, like if somebody dies and then that person will think about it. Oh, I might die too. Or sometimes somebody has a very fatal illness. So then they will think that, oh, this is changing. This is the changing nature. But all this time I was taken it for granted. Now it's gone, kind of thing. Then that mind, that kind of attention will come to play, and then that attention will bring you further down a little bit, and then that is the 12th link I was talking about, and then the 11th one is actually coming. I'm descending order. I'm coming down because that's how we can any individual can get that grasp of it. What it is. It's not real, self-efficacy, but it's getting closer to that kind of a grasp of it. So, as I said earlier, that really, if the fatal illness comes, that really you know that there's no cure to that. And then finally, this all happened because of I was born, right? And that is the 11th link. It's called jati, in the sense that you are being born, because birth itself is bringing up your, the unhappiness or the dukkha. I would use that dukkha word frequently rather than, it's not unhappiness. It's not the happiness. It's not happiness, unhappiness, nothing. Nothing to do with that. Dukkha means that really that changing nature, that dis-ease that everybody feels. So that is what the fourth, the 11th step or 11th link, they call it link now. The 11th link of this process. And then, of course, after that, you do have of course, it happens because of that, really, you do have that becoming nature within you, becoming nature, which is the 10th link, and then which is becoming in the sense called Bhawa. That means because of you have that grasping nature at a higher level now. In fact, actually, whatever we are saying, whatever we are talking about, if you grasp it properly, you become that person. Now, if you say that really that way, mostly when we are talking about this Dhamma or talking about these kind of principles, if you are really, really focused and really uh, uh, contemplating on what we are saying, all of a sudden you would feel that your essence has changed a little bit. Like something. Oh, that is what it is. No, it's in this case. Of course, we are going through the process of understanding or process of comprehending what is happening in this world. But on the same time, because somebody was talking about saying something against somebody, their ego will get affected, and they also get some kind of a impact within them, right? So those kind of impact is called becoming, because you are expanding your mass of your snowball by one step, because you are rolling, right? Your snowball is rolling, and then once you roll, and then if you grab something, that means you're becoming a little bit different now. It's not the same size of a snowball now. It's a little bit longer snowball, a larger snowball kind of this. That means becoming. That's the becoming part of. That's the 10th thing of the Parichasamuppada, or the dependent origination, or in my term, it is actually perceiving process. So that is how you perceive, because you perceive something and then you grab it, and then you keep it to yourself, in the sense you add that to your consciousness, or add that to your vijnana in Pali word, add that to your consciousness. So then your mass, or your mass is gaining some more effect. So that is what the Bhawa means. And then, so to get to there, actually, you need to have a kind of a craving. So that is the other one. So craving, with that you get there. So I'm not going to go all the way, because I think it will confuse people. I mean, it's not that perceivable right now. So I'm giving that very top level thing, that really what we are talking about, and then what the dependent origination is about. And then that, although I mentioned that really on the surface level, any human can see this type of thing. any human can really grasp that type of thing. And for instance, like, when Heidi, who came to our meetings before, she was just really, she experienced of near-death experience. So that triggers her to look into this, what is going on. And then she just changed her faith and then join us, and then join some other different union or some other the sect of the Christianity, and then try to find out this. So that's kind of a thing that those are the things that really trigger people to find out what is going on. So that kind of a shaking point that really which is triggered them to go into. So in fact, actually, that process is happening everywhere now. But for you, for individual, so you are perceiving it. So that is why I'm calling it as a perceiving process, because as long as you are perceiving anything around you, it accumulates to you. You are the only one who knows about it. Although everybody talked about it, I mean that everybody talked about the black hole, but you never seen black hole. But you grasp it and you get that one as you perceive it may be something like hole or something like that. Sometimes the pictures come up on the TV screen. They show that this is this thing, and you perceive it that way, right? And that picture is within you, and then that's only for you, because the what I perceive as that black hole is different than what you perceive, because your total interaction is different. So that's where that will be as long as we are perceiving it, so we are within it, we are in there. So the whole universe is you are perceiving, and that is why you are interacting, and then you see that everything is there, just as like that Stephanie, that you were talking about, that dream. So it dream, but actually it's elusive dream when you really realize this halfway through come and go, then you realize, that is the impact I was talking about, like that Heidi is having that near-death experience now, like that. So that is where that really you would perceive what this whole universe is, and then go deeper, and then that this is me, this is my body, this is my skin, and this is my face. I can do this and that and all that. All that is your perception. Even Stephanie, that you were explaining your experience, some people were saying, "Oh, have you taken something?" kind of thing. So because they can't understand it, I'm the only one that who perceiving. So you are the only one who's perceiving it. And so similarly, that really when you go deeper and deeper, that even Alex, you normally explain that sometime I was out of the body one time, and then I perceived the body as a separate thing. And then even Stephanie, you were saying that it always the rest of the things are just happening. The karma is happening. It's okay. It's happened. It's nothing to do with me. I'm just out of it, kind of thing. So those things, the people who's listening to us, they might think that what is this crazy thing, because they can't perceive it, right? So we can perceive it. That's the thing. In the same way that everybody, and not I'm talking about us, but everybody who's really believing or who's taking things as fact are the thing that they can perceive. That's all, nothing else. So in the same token, when you go to the deepest level, you are perceiving it because of your craving. You are clinging into it. We know all about, but some people, I talked about on the previous discussion as well, that perceiving process as a aggregation process of 5 different steps. The first step is actually the image, somewhere in the image, or it's called rupa. And then that image is being recognized. That is called, in Pali, it's called Vedana, but actually it's a kind of feeling. People translate it as feeling, but I would say that really you are recognizing. And then of course you have the actual notion of it, in the sense sanya in the sense that you have a concept. Oh, I have seen a flower. I have seen a table. I have seen a person, kind of a thing. That's there. But from there onward, if you think about, if you grab that kind of a process, that 3-legged process, if you grab it, that means you are really clinging into this is a very good flower. I like this red color. I like the flower. Then you are grabbing it, and then you are just collecting into that your the consciousness or the vinyan. So that's the process that really runs through, and that is kind of a shorter version of that 12-link Paticca. So that means that it's happening everywhere. So since you are just perceiving that, that is with you. So if you let go of that perceiving process, that means not clinging to anything, that process stops. And when that process stops, that really our cycle of free birth and everything will stop. So it happens just for a fraction of a second when people see the non-self experience, but it will continuously, when the other 7 fetters dies down, it will be continuous. In the sense, it will be there that you are no longer there. That's the better way to put it. So that is how you can, escape from this dependent origination, or be away from, step out of from them. So
I did have a question. So while I was up in Payson, I was doing quite a bit of meditation while I was up there. I think I didn't have my phone or a watch on me, so I wasn't really able to time it. I think it was between 2 days, probably close to 5 or 6 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood. And one thing that when I was finished that I came to was that it seems to me that there isn't really a past or a future. It's more that there's only a present. And when we try to force a specific future, that's trying to make something happen in the future. And then when we're constantly thinking about the past and we're clinging to something in the past, but when you're able to let those two things go and not identify with those things and then come to the present moment and be in that present moment, that's when it's the calm between two storms where you're not identifying with either of those two things. And when it comes to karma, this is where I was starting to get a little bit confused with it. Maybe it's just me confusing myself, but with karma, is it something where it really only arises because you're focusing on those two things and you're acting in ways that are I'm trying to make something happen in the future, or I'm grasping for something in the past. And so by living in those two moments rather than living in the present, you're constantly accumulating karma and you're trying to make the snowball do something specific. And when you're able to live in the present moment and not grasp and not try to force anything, it's something where there's not an actual acquisition of any new karma and the snowball's not gathering any more snow and it's just stopped where it is, and that's where the melting tends to happen. Is that correct?
yes, when we were talking about previously that we were talking about the good karma, bad karma, and then later on you mentioned that really, not the good or bad karma, but even the meditation. And it is karma. It's kind of you are grabbing into it. This is the similar thing, like
Mm,
even the
mm,
when you say future, we'll put that as a future as the good karma, or the history or the past as the bad karma. But when you talk about the present moment, it could be actually that not neither of those, but in between those, still you are clinging into that present moment. You
I
see,
see. I
that
see.
clinging, that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
intention, that intention of clinging into that moment. So that again, it's not what we are talking about, right? So So you may, I know that really you are really in the present moment rather than, thinking about it. But most of the cases, I know most of these Eckhart Tolle's followers, they also just try to be in the present moment in the sense that it will not be in the past or be in the future, but be in the present moment is again, it's another clinging to the present moment. Rather than clinging, you're just leaving it out too. So this is a similar,
I see.
I mean, the different words, but that is where that really it comes to the real impact. So the way that you explain, I did really see that really you are a little bit of a notion of present moment as a separate thing in between those two. But that is again another thing. If you're conceptualizing that, that means you are clinging to it. But if you don't
I
conceptualize
see.
that, you are just beyond that. Got it?
I see. Yes, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That
So
makes
that
sense.
5 hours you are sitting, and then you may be, uh, if you contemplate that I am in the present, that means you are really connected with it. Otherwise, if you just like that Stephanie used to say that really, don't do anything, be alone. So being there, that's being. That's
Hmm.
being means actually the actual present moment. You are being.
I
Make
see.
sense?
Yeah, because it was something that, yes, and it was something where when since I wasn't by myself, but I was able to sit really uninterrupted with no car sounds, no anything, and I was just all that I have to do for the next 3 hours is just sit here. I have nothing else going on. So I was able to get into a very deep level. It was afterwards that I began to think about how this was, and it the way that you explained it 100% makes sense, where I'm still clinging and grasping to the present moment rather than just allowing
Correct.
myself to be in the present moment.
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
Remember the part, so I'm gonna go to it's the 12 interdependent causes and effects
Yeah,
for
that's
dependent
right.
origination, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Um okay, so I'm reading through, and the number one, the one that stands out to me the most is the 10th one, and that's becoming. So it says Bhava,
Yeah,
the
Baba.
habit of manifestation. So I have a question concerning that, if that's okay.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Um,
Write it up.
okay, so my question is, um, becoming. It seems to me that that could be a number of different things, but in my mind, it's kind of like becoming a role that you have chosen for yourself in life. So this ties into intention and karma as well. Is first question, is there such thing as karmic debt? And for becoming, if someone was to become in life, they felt like their role was to be like a police officer. How can they go about becoming, that role that they've chosen for themselves in life while still paying attention to the intention and the other things they have to do? Because I've read different authors that say to not interfere with something, regardless of how they see it as good or bad, because that could be karmic debt being settled, or the dispute being, taken care of by itself. The universe is evening or creating a balance where there was once before, where there wasn't. So in my mind, I'm wondering, well, if someone chose to be a police officer for their life in the world, like to become that, how can they go about that in their day to day and still basically keep the intention well, even if they have to pursue criminals and stuff like that? Should they still pursue criminals, or that's basically my um I'm kind of going into touching 2 points with one topic, if that makes sense.
No, I totally got it. I mean, I do see that your thought process, and yes, there are two different aspects of it. Is actually karma, and then of course the becoming. And then I'll try to dismantle that all knots on there. The very first thing that really, when the becoming is a in general term, and in the surface level, it is like becoming a police officer. And of course, I think Michelle Obama wrote a book about becoming, right? So it's a becoming as the very surface level that you're talking about. I take a role. But think about this is we are talking about very, very minute, very micro level thought process or the actual incidents happening. And where that really, if you give that example, we take that example again, that the snowball is you, but the becoming part is actually the adding another snowflake into that. Not that you are taking a role of this whole police department. It's just a little bit of a thought that you are accumulating to yourself that make you become a different person than a millisecond ago. Think about that way. That is what this becoming means. This becoming means that really you're changing nature of this whole your consciousness or your ego or your self-image. Just like the snowball is rolling, just a one roll itself, it's just getting a bigger mass, larger mass. So that means that even a simple thing, even if you actually move your hand to the other side and then you just try to comfort yourself on your chair, you are becoming a more comfortable person than before. That's the meaning of this becoming. That's the meaning of that Bhawa. So that is going into a cross spectrum of higher level into the very, very, very core of your consciousness, how it's becoming from the previous consciousness. If I use that word consciousness, it is actually vijnana, or it is actually your self-image. So that's answered both of your question, I think. But if I elaborate a little bit more, the karma is the same. Karma is this that really, once you are grabbing to it, only because as we talked about last time, it's your intention of connecting with something. If you have the intention of connecting with something, that means you wanted to be a police officer, you apply for the police officer applications, you send it to them, and then you take that role. Similarly, you have your intention of grabbing something, and you grab something, and then you collect it in that. Then you change your role, or you become a different person. So this is the deepest level.
Yes, no, that makes sense. I agree 100%. I know what you mean. The snowball effect too. I understand that example as well. So it was very good.
Very good. Okay. So the other part that I wanted to talk about is Bhawa, and then this is more commonly took misnomer. Sometime it is some way it is right too, because Bhawa, in the sense normally most of the people, especially in the Eastern world and then especially Buddhist tradition, they talk about Bhawa as taking another birth in the next life, kind of a Bhawa. It's kind of a longer term. That what I meant was that what I mentioned, what I explained, what I described earlier was that every millisecond that Bhawa is happening. But for the mundane mind, it's very difficult to grasp. So the mundane mind, they always talk about Bhava means that, really, of course, you die this one and you're taking another birth on the other thing. But they forget about that really the step above, which is the 11th step of this Parijassamapadi, is about that. It's not actually Bhava, it is actually Jati. Jati in the sense you are taking another life. So they mixed up with this and then they are a little bit missed. So I'm just giving that because for the listeners, rather than you guys, but for the listeners, that they are having this kind of a thought process saying that really Bhava is kind of a one birth to the other birth. That is very common, but it is that mostly people describe that even specifically for the Western world, that very learned people try to describe it as not as the rebirth or anything, but the way that I was explaining, like, you are taking a position on a different every millisecond or every minute. You are taking a different position, and that means your ego has your self-image has changed or altered, or mostly actually added to that. So that is what the Bhawa is, and then it's we call it, if we reverse it in the sense that that Bhawa is not happening, that means that really the snowball is not rolling. So that means you are not gaining any mass. So you are now reversing back. So you are reversing back in the sense that really you are stand still, like you don't do anything. It's not going further or not adding anything. So just like snowball is now stationary, it's not moving, stay there. And if you stay there along, you will see that really, oh, I'm just grabbing everything because of this, tightness, and then I'm connecting, and then those are the things that really already with you. Those are that 10 fetters. So they will loosen up and then go away. So then really you are going down further and further. That is the other process. So it's like, that snowball is now stationary, and then if it's stationary, it impact the temperature of the snowball now. It's not sub-zero anymore. Now it's getting warmer and warmer, and then the snowball will start to melt, and then melt and melt and melt away, and all the way down to the not to seeing any snowballs at all. So that's the process that Buddha recommend. So people who actually have that experience to explain it to the other people, so that they can understand the way that it is, slowing down, and then it's coming down like a descending order. But this is again just talking about one single process, but actually it's billions and billions of time of process. But all that, the common denomination for all those processes is your clinginess, your thirst, or your tanha. That's what it's called. You have that clinginess with you. If that is, as long as you are there, you are in this pickle again. Clear? It makes sense to everybody?
Yeah, that made sense to me.
Yeah.
If I could say one last thing, that my mistake with my question, so my question was flawed because I thought that it I thought the direction wouldn't change until you put intention behind it. But from what you're telling me, it's way more complicated than that, because you're gonna still be accumulating no matter what. Your conscious intention or your conscious decision doesn't stop the snowball from rolling, and that's something that I didn't know. I didn't know till now.
Yeah. So there is a two different thing. Your decision and your intention. Those are two different things. It's not the same. Your decision is actually you're taking the decision depending on something else, comparing what and this and that. But where your intention is nothing to do with that, right? Do you see that? Are you with me? Because those two things are
Yes.
those.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the decision. Yeah, the conscious decision, and I agree.
yeah. So even the conscious decision is that really it's a decision that you are consciously thinking that one again the other. But the intention is not kind of a decision. Its intention is that really what you wanted to do, or what you wanted to cling to, what you wanted to come to. So that may extend to the making the decision, but for the decision, you need to have a comparison to see that what is going on. But actually, what you want is like, you want ice cream. So that is actually your thirst to have ice cream. But once you go to the ice cream parlor, you make a decision of whether I want to pistachio or the other flavor or this flavor. That is a decision. So that's nothing to do with the becoming. That's actually you are collecting something. But becoming is that really itself that you're craving. So that is where the craving itself is the thing. And then you are taking the role that, as you said, police officer. It's a different matter. It's the outcome. It's not the actual the process. And then that's not that complicated as if you focus.
Oh, I
Yes,
was thinking
yes.
when he asked his question, that he's thinking about this from the perspective of the character in the dream. But it doesn't really matter what happens to the character in the dream because you are not that character. It doesn't really matter what happens in the life, what karma they accumulate, if they have any karmic debt, what decisions they make based on cause and effect that happened in the past, because you are beyond all of that. And if you spend too much time analyzing the little details of the life of that character that you are not, then you are just reinforcing your identification with that character and that body mind. And I think that's counterproductive. So you need to zoom out instead.
Yeah, that is a very good thing. That is you're coming from your own experience and then giving that. That's the advice I think for Marcus, because Marcus asking the question because actually it's a genuine question for him, because he is in that that character in itself, inside the character is asking about that, how to figure that out. But the Marcus, that what Stephanie was saying is that really you don't need to figure out that. You just get out of it. That's what we are. And the thing that really what we are explaining, even Buddha has explained, is just said that really rather than saying that really, okay, go into in the detail of what it is happening, because that only the part that I am using it for, as Buddha mentioned, it is good to give that perspective for the mundane person or any person to understand that is nothing that you have to clinging to. It's all a process. So each and individual, this aspect of dependent origination is to get to that level of understanding. So you asked the question about this 10th steps. That's a good question, because now you got that as it is a process. That itself is enough for you to actually step out of it. Like, the Stephanie was saying, that means, of course, this process is there. I'm not that process. So to see that process as a process, you have to step out of it. That process. If you are in the process, of course, you are just still contemplating, still thinking how this can happen, how that can happen. That means you are still trying to take a decision, or make a kind of a concept out of it to see whether it works. Because your mind is always trying to get a concept and then say, oh, this is the right thing. But conceptually, it can be right to you, but somebody else may say that's wrong. Now, even whatever I explained here, but some people who are very learned, maybe scholars with the PhD on Buddhism, might say that really that's maybe not the case, because they don't understand, they haven't experienced it properly. The person who's experienced it would not ever disagree with me, I'm sure, because they know that really what it is. So that is what the answer. I think the Stephanie was helping you on that aspect, as she sees it. Like, this is all this dependent origin. What I wrote, that the book is just to align everything and then say that, in the sense, not to get lost in there. At the end, you would see that really I'm just saying that, get out of all these things. This is to explain, like, you're talking about a chair, and then you're saying that it has 4 legs, it has arms, and then it has a back and all that thing. I'm just saying that. But don't sit on that chair. Get out of the chair, kind of thing. Are you with me, Marcus?
Yes, I guess I could clarify a little bit more. Um, and I'm thankful for your guys' answer, both of you and Stephanie's answer. It made sense, and you guys are both right. But I think my question is a little bit. There's a little bit more to it. If we were on a right now, our lives are kind of on a rail. We don't have a choice, like you said. It started with birth, and you didn't choose to be born, correct?
Yep.
The point that we're at in our lives now, my question is, should we fully go into it and what we are at this point? And is that a choice to make, or is it something that we should step back from? Like the the book I remember I talked to some people about before. it's It's kind of similar, but remember if you read the Bhagavad Gita, when
Mhm.
Arjuna was on the battlefield, Krishna was telling him, "Oh, he's seen his relatives across on the other side of the war, and he didn't want to fight, but he was a soldier. That was what his character. That was his role that he became, in his lifetime, and he had a final battle to do. And what is he to do in that situation? Is he supposed to, not fight and just hold off, or is he supposed to fight all the way and do what everything he was trained to do and complete his becoming that way? Or is, what's the answer? That's basically what I'm asking for, that as far as the person, if you're the character, do you play the character to the fullest potential and get some type of enlightenment through that, or is there nothing to be sought through there? So either way, whatever decision you choose to do, I don't think there's a right or wrong decision. I'm just saying, what is the best, I guess, intention or outcome or karma to do? Because as a police officer, if I chose to say my life led me to be a police officer, it has not, but that's just the example. That's just the example. Um, wouldn't there be other people depending on me for that role? Or if I was a father, let's say I became a father, there would be other people depending on me to become the best father I could be, or to fulfill that role all the way. Or should I not? That's kind of like the conundrum, is how
Oh,
much do we step into our role, or
yeah,
whatever, we
I
before
totally
we
understand.
before we lose ourselves into it.
I totally understand it. That your last sentence, Marcus, that really was thinking that you are a father, and then you have the obligations to take care of your children, and then what's the conundrum whether I should do thing or whether I should not do that thing, and then that kind of things. Is all those are really your thought process. Your thought process, your speculation, your mind is trying to tell you that this is the good thing, this is the bad thing. You should do this and that. And then, with my experience, I was a good father all the time, but there were some instances my daughter was just saying, "You're not a good father." So we can actually try to be the good father, good mother, but still, it depends on the other persons that really he or she actually mentoring. It's in that case that's another conundrum, right? Because you are trying your best to be a good father, but it's not. Seems to be it's not the case. So that all that is belongs to this our ego, our mind, our things, and even that really on the second layer that you were talking about at the end, that you were saying at the beginning, you were saying that really what is I am to do, because I wanted to be a good person. So can I finish that good person process first, and then go back to this the awakening later? No, it's again, if you're going to good person, the thing that you have the goal as a good person, it is for this conventional world that really people would give you a certificate. You have done so much. And in the same time, some people may not agree with that certificate. They might say, "Oh, that is not the same. Oh, my father would have been much better than that. You should have, put some money in the bank account before I get to the college and all that. You didn't do that, but you did your best. You had only that much money. You just did that kind of a thing." So all that is actually concept of that really how we see the people, how people judge you, and then you can't win that pass. You know that really. I don't have to tell anybody knows that really you can't win everybody's heart, because that's the whole world is, because they are looking at different ways. But there is no perfect answer for that if you go with your mind. But the answer is that really okay, step out of your mind, and then you will do better. I would give it my own experience. You would do better. Even you will be a better father, and then you will be a better a mother for the children, because they will learn themselves. If you don't do, you know, I know that really in the current stage of in our society, especially American society, I'm talking about, they just try to give the best toy to the kid, best toy, this and that to the kid. But at the end, they don't like that. They don't call my father is not that you didn't do that, you didn't do this. All that is because of that really that depends on perception of everybody's, anybody's, and then you want to be, somebody wants to be. I know that really one very good tennis player. I was getting coaching from his father. His son was a very good tennis player before even getting to 18. At the time when he aged 18, I heard the story that he went home and took all the racket that he was given by my father and then broke everything and threw away. And he said that I'm not going to play tennis anymore. So your father was trying best to get him a good tennis player and get to the top level, but he was top level, I think, on the state in Minnesota. He was I think somewhere around second or at that his age, second or first, but he didn't want to. So this is the conundrum that you're talking about, Marcus. So without saying accepting, because people can accept it and then let it go. That again comes to you and it bother you later on. I should have done this. I haven't done. No, it's not accepting. It is actually letting go and then stepping out of all that process, which is more pleasant and more happy. You can be without that dis-ease. Doesn't matter, everybody else would say, in the sense that I'm not ignoring them. I'm responding to them. Whenever they say something, yes, I respond to them. I try to give best to them to understand what we are doing. But if not, it's again the normal course of cause and effect. It's my answer. Alex?
Yeah, so I think that a thing that happens, let's say with the how you had phrased it from the Bhagavad Gita, where it's, do I go to war and fulfill this kind of role, or do I not? And whatever happens after that happens. It's very much where you're still clinging to a specific outcome and you're trying to make a specific outcome happen, where that then brings you back into a reaction where you're trying to make whatever outcome specifically happen rather than just responding and not trying to force any really specific outcomes. Where it's, oh, like the example with NT and the tennis player, where I'm trying to make my son be the best tennis player and be at the absolute top level. You're still trying to force some specific outcome and you're clinging to that specific outcome rather than just doing your best, for lack of a better way of saying it, and being in the present moment, because you can't ultimately make a specific outcome happen the exact way that it does in your mind. You're trying to make some sort of future action take place rather than just being there and doing the appropriate response as far as you can see. Because it's something that you're not wanting to do anything specific or anything along those lines. We don't need to force any action or anything along those lines. It is just, don't really cling to the thought of doing the thing, rather just respond to the event as it comes to you.
Very good. Very good. I want to add a little bit more. I think I don't know whether Marcus was looking at a different aspect as well, so I'll add that too. You are referring to police officer. Of course, the police officer's duty is to keep the whole society safe. And then, of course, it doesn't mean that really you are not doing your duty. You have to do that. You are responding means that your duty is that to make sure that the whole society is safe. And there won't be any conundrum there when it comes to the place that, okay, there is a one guy who's really doing something wrong, and then you do see that really it's against the law, but you will have a little faith of, okay, this fellow might do better later on if I don't put him into the jail, but it may work. And then it might be that really your decision at that time, okay, hopefully that is how you respond to things, right? So you know that with your skill, you know what to do this, and then that is how you work on it. So that is again the responding to it, rather than if you think that in that similar case that if you are a real good police officer, you are onto the rules, and then you can't break the rules, and then you had to put him into the jail. That's kind of one extreme. The other extreme is that really, these guys are my people. I just wanted to don't let them to go to jail or things. I just release him and don't even look at that side. That is another extreme. But once you get to the actual balance of that, really, this your non-self experience, you know that really you will feel that and what to do. And then, of course, I don't know whether my dad was a police officer. I know how they were trained and all that, and they were just given the. I know that I was amazed. Some people actually they looked at the person and they know that really this fellow is a crook or this is not a crook, and then they just allow the other person to go and then call the crook again, and then I say you are the one, and then he looks very innocent and he just please no and all that. Here that's the case. So but he knows that really what he's done. So those kind of a thing it comes with your skill. Of course, I'm saying that really you executing that skill, that rules is that your job, your role, but it is done perfectly, done more balancedly with your awareness and then with your real core essence of that your own self. And then that's why we say that that's a better way. That's the better way to answer everything. And again, it doesn't have to be a conundrum for you anymore when you do that way. Otherwise, of course, it's a conundrum because of that. Some people might say this, some people might say that. That's the case. But the best way is because we are trying to. I know that really sometimes when I'm talking about these things and people want me to go to a TV and tell all these things, I say no, I don't want to do that. they, I don't know who's listening, and they don't have any intention of listening to it. If somebody has the intention of listening to me, of course, I will explain. Otherwise, I don't. I don't have a conundrum of whether I to do that. No, it is just the responding part. That's what matters. That way. I think you will do the best. Although people may not say that way, but it is the best. The best that he can do. For example, if I say that now even the Buddha, he was Prince Siddhartha, and he was very, he was having all these luxuries and then all that, and he newly married, and then he got a newborn baby and all that. But he realized something wrong here, and then some disease, and then he just left the whole family. So you could look at it on a different way. He's a very bad guy. He just left that boy and then mother and all that. Of course, they had the luxury of the kingdom that really they will take care of him, but it's a different matter. But as a father, he shouldn't have done that. But what happens now? Whatever he did is lasting for 2,600 years, and he was more love. His love is more bigger than that one individual son. His love is for, if I put it that way. I mean, I don't see. I mean, if you're going on that angle, of course, his love is for the whole humanity. That's how he left. Are you with me? Once.
Yeah,
Any more
thank
questions?
you all for the answers. It was really good. No questions further this time. I thank everybody for their answers. It was really helpful.
Nice, very nice.
I have one more question here, NT.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so from what I have been finding when I have been able to do longer sessions and more regular practice, and something that was very prevalent when I was up in Payson this last week and doing longer sessions, was it seems to me like I've been able to get to a point where I haven't been able to get all the way back to the full sense of non-self, or getting back to that, lack of a better way to say it, a place, right? And where I've been able to get to fairly consistently has been where I'm not really feeling the body anymore. I'm not the sounds are going away. If a bug lands on me or something, I don't really notice it. I'm not noticing any changes in light or anything along those lines. And it seems that everything is going away. But rather than it being something where I'm more of the awareness in a void, it's more of that my awareness seems to be stuck in the field that I'm in. Like if I'm in my apartment or something like that, I feel like there's no surrounding sounds or feelings, but it still feels like my awareness is in my apartment. Or it feels like I'm I'm here rather than having my awareness spread through spaciousness and seeming nothingness. Does that make sense?
Yep, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. I know what you're saying, what you are at as well. And could you remember that I was talking to know what kind of essence you have? So
Hmm.
this particular answer to the direct answer to what you are trying to do is that really we address it a couple of times, but if we are to get to that the non-self experience now, after that particular experience, you need to have all that 10 fetters eliminated or gone. It can happen in your sitting too. This whatever you did that really time, and you felt that really you were still with that dense spaciousness with you, rather than leaving. I mean, the disseminating that part or the vanishing that part. That because of the very unknown, very rooted our core of that snowball still there, that core of that onion still there. So that is why you cannot penetrate that anymore, in the sense that you are really there, but you can't penetrate anymore further because you are still trying to do it. You see? Yeah, that's why you feel that really, oh, this
I
is
see.
still there. So if you surrender there, or if you let go of all that, or then just nothing else to do, kind of a thing, that also vanishes, even for a temporary, like what you experienced before. But it might come back again, like that Stephanie, after so many births, she got it, and then it went back, and then she enjoyed that for 2 weeks, and then again it went back. So that happens. So, but to the eightfold path is there for you to actually uh, fade away all of those fitters. So it happens. So that meditation that you did was very, very helpful, because but you stuck on one place because of there were so many other very strong fitters were not allowing you to go any further with your mind. But if you if you let go of your mind, if you let go of that recognition, also try to understand things, or just try to make it, or try to be that non-self experience, then it would have happened. But again, that really you think, I'm so deep now. Why I'm not pushing away? Why I'm not being, why that non-self is searching through me? That thought itself is actually a kind of a distraction for you. So that is why it is happening. So don't worry about it. It's good that you did, and you feel that way, and then that will go away. If it is that strong, then it has to fade away with a little time, and with those exercises. I mean, with those meditation, it has helped a lot for you to go get there. And then it doesn't mean that really you lost your non-self experience, right? You know that non-self experience. It'll come through, little by little, and then uh, it's depend. That's how some people might ask, okay, how long it might take, that is, it's again that really you can't measure it. And the sense that really you don't know how bigger your onion is still. I'm giving that onion example. Like, so many the skins were peeled out, but there will be few things left there, which may be very strong. That has to go away too. So don't worry about it. It's a very good. I mean, it's a good experience. That is why this meditation helps a lot.
Very good.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it seems like from where I've been just experiencing my general day-to-day experience and how I've been perceiving everything around me seems to be very, how do I say this? It seems to be how it was after my non-self experience, where that's still awareness of, it's like I'm like, this is a husk that I'm behind, for lack of a better way of saying it. And that still holds very true. Things still seem to be of that same awareness. It just seems like with the meditation, and you're 100% right, where it's something where maybe I don't consciously try to make it happen, but it's something that it's still a grasping, flying behind maybe what I would say. Oh, I don't really care. I know it'll happen, but deep down in the subconscious, it's still grasping for this experience, because
Yeah.
it seems like it's something where everything that I've been experiencing seems to be maybe 95% of the way how it was. And it's still, like I said, like I'm behind this husk and everything. And the whole world is an outward illusion, for lack of a better way of saying it, that I'm just perceiving with all of my awareness and everything. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, there is a Pali word for that. Actually, the Buddha has given that as called the Asmi Mana, in the sense that it's been translated as conceit in the when that on that 10 fetters, the one of that is conceit, which is actually just a
yes.
slither of self kind of a thing. It's not the true, I mean, the full-blown self awareness or self, but it is a little bit of a conceit in the sense that you have a notion of I yet. So that is why it is there, because that will fade away. That will fade away when everything was gone, and then everything was, all 10 fetters were gone. You are beyond that, and then you know that really, even the way that really I'm explaining, I can explain that way because I do see that really what happened to me. So it is kind of a little self that Aspimana it's called, and then the mana means actually like conceit kind of a thing, but the translation is not exactly the same, but you can't help it because there's no English word for that. I would rather translate that as the Asmimana, or the slither of conceit or something like that, or the very minute conceit, or the minute self-image. I think that's a better word, minute self-image. Stephanie,
I
you want to add
see.
something?
Yeah.
Not really. I was just thinking if you're trying to get to the non-self, then you are the self. Otherwise, you
Exactly.
wouldn't be trying to get there. And so you're identifying with the self and you have a desire to get to the non-self. And I think the way to get there is to just give up that desire too and just completely surrender to whatever the experiences, whatever shape or form the present moment takes, just surrender to it completely, and then you will be the non-self.
Very good. You said nothing to add, but you had a lot. You had the very icing of this whole discussion. That's the icing part of this cake. Actually, yes, even if you try to get to non-self, that means you. That means that yourself is still in the forefront. Very nice. I'm glad actually having this discussion with you all, and it will help for the rest of the world. That's what I'm hoping for.